Hello and welcome to the Thursday Night Book Club. And today I am excited to bring Zindika Kamauesi. I pronounced the name correctly. And Zindika is an English tutor working with young people. She is a woman of many talents. She teaches sound and energy healing, breathworks, and energy balancing. She's found on Insight Timer and YouTube. And her website is Meditate and Grow. So a warm welcome to you, Zindika.
Hello, good evening. Hi, William. Thanks for inviting me onto this platform. Yeah, looking forward to our conversation.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. So okay, so I'm going to start with a little practice that I've got. It's actually in my book, which is called Positive Vibrations: How to Unravel Fear and Find Courage in Creativity. And it's a mindful practice that I sort of discovered by myself, really, and then discovered that it was a mindful practice. And I call it how do you wash your hands? Really, a question. And I'll show you what it is. It's just if you are watching then right now, you can take part, but it does involve you having water. So this is what you should do when you go to wash your hands. So it's just a matter of really slowly moving your hands as if you are washing them. And of course, if you were washing your hands, each time you visit the bathroom, you wash your hands. So many occasions when you have to wash your hands, and you can just slow down the process of washing your hands. And it's actually this practice involves movement, it involves touching, and it also involves breathing as well. So, for example, as you do this practice and you move your hands slowly and imagine that you actually did have water, you've got to use your imagination a little bit right now if you're not using water. And just imagine if you were, and you could cup your hands like that, and even imagine some water flowing into it. And then just imagine, just moving that water around the hands and slowly, really just touching, feeling, and just really getting into that sensation. And as you do that, what should be happening is this begins to have an impact as you slow down the movement and you really tune into the sensations of the movement and the touch. It really begins to have a really, really calming effect on your nervous system, really. So it's a practice that as you do this as well, it also calms down your breath. So you don't even have to really think about the breathing, but just the mere fact that you're doing this very slow movement, it just begins to really bring a calming effect in, and you may find that you really begin to really calm down. Your breath slows down because as you slow down movement, then your breath naturally slows down with the movement. And by your breath slowing down, then that also has a positive effect on your nervous system, and it moves you into the rest and digest mode of the nervous system, which is the parasympathetic mode that really is all about resting and being calm. And that's when you're really feeling relaxed. And so I would suggest that each time, what this activity says is each time you have any occasions with water, for example, each time you visit the bathroom or you're using water in any way, you have this opportunity to bring a calming effect to your body and a calming effect to your mind as well. And also it brings a calming effect to your breath. And when you slow down your breath, then you know that really is putting you in the best place to be. So give thanks, and um, do that practice whenever you get a chance to. As I said, there are plenty of opportunity to do that during the day, and practice it as much as you can.
You
Thank
definitely have
you.
me hooked on that
Oh, good.
practice. Definitely have me hooked. And I think you will have a number of our viewers also hooked. I found that incredibly relaxing. And
Yeah.
that's the first time that I'm trying it. So I'm wondering what else is actually in your book. Can you tell me again the name of the book?
The book is called Positive Vibrations: How to Unravel Fear
Okay,
and Find Courage in Creativity.
okay.
So that's one of the practices that are in that book. It's a book with 12 months of practice in it, really, because it's divided up into months, and each month there's a practice and there's information about the practice for that particular month. So if we're in the month of February now, so you would actually do the practice for February. Um, Yes, and this book also comes with a journal as well, a gratitude journal as well, so that each time you do a practice, there's also the opportunity to write and reflect on the practice that you've done as well.
So we're just coming. I mean, this has been the Valentine's Day week. So what practice have we been is in the month of February in your book?
Well, within this particular well, I mean, Valentine is actually a great time to bring in, because it's all about love. And it's also this particular practice within February. It's to do with fear, and it's about unraveling fear. So it's about really. Usually, I call this month Fearless February. So, for example, we know what we do is when we release fear, we replace it with love. So, actually, February is a great time for that. You're releasing fear. And of course, we know that without fear, we then move into a place of love. And that's what Valentine, the day is about in the month of February is about. So, and self-love is one of the great things that you can bring in as well. So when we talk about love, you can actually really might be a chance for you to even pamper yourself this month, um and by practicing a bit of self-love and a bit of self-acceptance, because a lot of the time with self-love, it's always about looking outside. People look outside for things, they look outside of themselves, thinking that they'll find it outside, but really that in reality, we have to find things within first. And the way that I always look at my practice, whatever it is that I'm doing, is everything begins from within. And then from within, you move without, not the other way around. Because the other way around, if you're always looking for calm or things like that on the outside or love, then you've got to find it within first. And when you're on the outside, you're always going to be really running in to a lot of stress and worry. Whereas if you bring that practice in, work on that within, then it makes it much easier for you then to just show that, and bring that out in yourself, really.
That's wonderful. I'm looking forward to reading the book. And I, I'm wondering what the best advice you would have for a lot of our viewers who are struggling with different layers of self-loathing, self-hatred, self-esteem, some of those issues. You feel that the these practices can really make an impact to how
Yes,
people are feeling about themselves long term.
yes, it's very important that we have practices to support ourselves, really. I myself, I was stuck I mean, about 7 years ago, um, even before I moved into practicing meditation and teaching meditation, um, and offering it as a therapy to others, I was stuck in a situation myself for quite a long time, for about 3 years, really, which is quite a long time. where I was in a job, and I felt really, undermined and ignored in the work. And I was in that situation, unable to help myself. And the reason why I was unable to help myself is at that time I didn't have, um, or at least I didn't move into a practice like this, and I was really in a state where I really was experiencing, anxieties and stress and worry, and, worrying about my future, and, staying in a situation where I stayed in too long. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people when they get stuck. They're in a situation, they can't see a way out. And so they then go into what you call low vibration, and that's what I was in for quite. I was just in a really low vibration place. And, we have to be wary when we're in those situations. We find ourselves stuck, we find ourselves unable to act, unable to make decisions. We find ourselves running out of energy, feeling fatigued, all those issues that start to plague us if we find that, and that usually a sign that, you are in a situation that you need to find a way out. And so, yeah, these practices, I mean, are really, really important to have some kind of practice like that to turn to. And a lot of people don't. Most people, when they want to relax, they go home and they watch TV, and that's it. That's their form of relaxation. And they don't actually know that they have to do something physically, because a lot of this energy is contained within the body. If you're experiencing distress at work, you're experiencing being undermined, you're experiencing being ignored, and probably lots of other issues you may be experiencing that sometimes you're not expressing or you're not able to express it, then where does it go? You're retaining it, which means that it then creates what you might call stuck energy within. And then with that stuck energy, then that expresses itself in areas such as, being unable to it may come out in terms of people limiting their self in their thinking. Usually that's what a lot of time is behind, um, limiting beliefs. When you start to doubt yourself, start to doubt you can do anything, because when I was in that job, that's exactly what I was doing to myself. I was doubting I could move on. I was doubting there was anything I could do, you know, and I didn't really, really open my mind up to all the possibilities of things that was there for me to do. And I stayed in that position for much too long. So yeah, I would say the people that I tend to work with are people who tend to be, like with some of the women who come along, and they'll come along saying, they really want to find their purpose. They have something in mind they want to do, but they just haven't done it. How long haven't you done it? Oh, they've got lots of reasons they can't do it, you know, and when they come, it's usually because of things like that, either, feeling fatigued, haven't got the energy, or feeling depressed, you know, maybe feeling anxious. And also a big part of it, of course, is fear as well. When you're stuck, it's almost like you're stuck behind your comfort zone. You're in a comfort zone, and you're fearful to step out of it. And so some of them, that's what they then need, to then be given the right support to help them to move forward in their thinking,
Mm.
and to see, how they can actually start to approach their their purpose, how they can start living their passion, living their purpose. And I also have part of it, what I do is I start with them. I say, let's start with healing first. Because before you can step into your purpose, um, and really embody that purpose, you really, really need to really deal with the things that are beneath it. Because if you try to step into it and then it doesn't work out, you'll sort of start to doubt yourself. But really, the reason it did work out is because you didn't deal with the foundation. And maybe part of that foundation might be healing. So it could, healing, is all about health, energy, and love. And he's saying getting back to love. Maybe that person may not need to start with looking at their self-love and their attitude towards themselves, how they talk to themselves, how they think about themselves, whether they have that belief in themselves that they can do the idea or the purpose that they have in mind. Um, you know, and so these were some of the things that I would start to get to unravel with people. And then when they start to look at it, they start to begin to make those shifts. Even something like, trauma. Sometimes people don't know that what's behind their fear or what's behind their limiting self-belief is, of course, the fact that they've got some deep trauma, you know, that that caused a wound. It could have been from childhood that they have never addressed. And so, as we begin to do that work, then we find that, and they begin to allow themselves to open to that healing, then they begin to discover that there are certain issues in their lives that they've never really addressed. Or sometimes when we do the meditations, because part of me working with people is doing meditation, a relevant meditation, to help them in that shift and to help them in terms of calming down their mind and going within, because most people are used to it, really being on the outside all the time, and so taking that step in might be quite a journey for some people. And when they do that, they find that lots of things begin to come up, and then that's when they begin to realize that all these things were there, but they were there as if they were like, like what I mentioned before, stuck energy. And when you start to do that work, you start to use those meditations, and some of the other therapies that I used, it begins to really shift and shift some of that those issues that have been there, really. um, yeah.
That's quite remarkable, really, everything you're saying. And I'm so glad that you come in here and given us a little taster of this whole multi-layered process of purpose and healing trauma through movement and through exercises. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your retreats. Where are they? How long are they for? What are the themes? Who are they for?
Yes. The retreats are actually something that's come out of my work with women in terms of the meditation that we do. I do regular meditation sessions with women, and the retreats came up as something, that the women wanted, so something, longer, where they could get to grips with some of the topics I just mentioned. Like, for example, self-love is one of the themes that we said we want to address, because they realize as they do the meditation, like I said, it does open the various channels, and it begins to give them ways in which they begin to see their life, and these channels show them how their life can change. And so the retreats, actually, when we go on the retreats, we do one in particular, a day retreat that we take into the countryside. And again, a lot of women, maybe they live in the city and they don't often get to really go out, and get into that fresh air. And so whenever we go into the countryside, that's usually one of the first things that most people will talk about. Oh, to be in this open space and to be experiencing this fresh air, because it is a different air when you go into the countryside.
Mm.
And also to be surrounded by just greenery, trees, nature, you know. And so when we do that, we usually start that with like a libation, and of course that's a great place to do an outdoor libation, connecting. It's all about connecting with nature, and of course we do that, and then we set off on a mindful walk. So again, usually a lot of positive expression and feedback from women about, the mindful walk, and how when you give people something, you give them a reason, and you also give them really the tools that they can use and the practices that they can use, and they begin to see walking in a different way, you know. So when we go on the walk, they have something. It's not just a case of walking, but they actually purposely, or either thinking about their breath, or thinking about the walk, how they pace their walk, or they are thinking about their mind, you know, what's happening in the mind, you know, where is the mind, you know? And so, and of course, also being aware and spotting things. You know, what do you see when you're out in nature? Something that you probably wouldn't normally see if you're living in the city. What sort of things can you see? So we make it into a real sort of activity and a real sort of little bit of an adventure, really. You know, when people go out, you know, walking um, on these country paths, and sometimes we may go past, you know, water of some kind, and you know, all of that just makes the whole thing a total experience
Mm.
of for the day, really, that they actually do enjoy and look forward to. And they you know, they always say, you know, when is the next one, you know, can we come back again? So yeah. And also the other thing we get as well at the end is feeling totally calm, feeling rested, feeling calm, because as well as doing the mindfulness part of it, we do yoga, and we also do meditation. So I'll do you know, mindful breathing with them as well. And again, getting them to connect to their breath. And it's so important, this breath work. I mean, since I discovered meditation myself, one of the things that really got my attention and I really connected to was the way in which we use the breath. And I realized, you know, when I started it, how badly I used to breathe, you know, until I connected and realized that there were different ways that you could breathe, and that there were ways that you could breathe that could enhance your health, and ways that you could breathe that could enhance your outlook, you know, and the way, even the way you actually can connect, you know, it just really helps your whole connection. And so once we've done, you know, some yoga and lots of stretching, and we've then done some mindful breathing, most people, and some relaxing, you know, on the mat, you know, people are usually leaving at the end saying how relaxed they feel, you know, and they look relaxed, you know. So yeah, those are the positive benefits really that they're getting from a day out, just, you
Yeah.
know, day out in the countryside.
And I really get a sense right now for your presence and you as a facilitator and as a retreat leader. And I get a sense for the also for the different um, the mix, the eclectic mix, the rituals, libation rituals, really important for people of color and many
Mm,
different indigenous cultures. So
mm.
before we leave tonight, can you just tell us again your website and hold up your book again so everyone can see it? And we're going to have a second round of discussions later on in the year. And I just wanted to thank you for your practice, for your work, for your life.
Give thanks, give thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, so the books that I've done, this one is called Positive Vibrations: How to Unravel Fear and Find Courage in Creativity. Um, as I said, it's a 12-month read. Each month there's something to practice. So a good time is, you know, a good time of the year, you know, at the start of the year. And then I also have the gratitude journal as well that goes with the book, so people can actually write, because writing itself is a form of it's a good form of therapy, you know. And that was my first form of therapy, was, you know, being able to write things down, and being able to write stories or write poems, or just write a journal. You know, that's usually, most people can start with a journal, but it also impresses on women who do any of the practices with me, how much important it is for them to record what they are actually experiencing once they've done a practice, because otherwise people may experience things and they just let it go and they don't realize they've made that shift. So if they're able to always journal their thoughts and their feelings, after we do any practice or any meditations, always to use that journaling as part of that, really. So yeah. And I have a website which is called um, the W's meditate all the W's www.meditateandgrow.com. And
Brilliant.
yeah, and I also have a YouTube channel as well. So on there I've got a range of short videos on so many topics. We've got topics on self-love, um, also just posting topics and things like um, breathing meditations, and even one I've just posted was about how to break bad habits. Big for example, some of the things that can hold us back in life is that we have habits that, you know, and they don't serve us. And we need to really get rid of those habits and start to change them. So when you can see a host of videos on there that can help you in so many different ways. And they're just little tasters. I call them little tasters, and hopefully when people see them, it might make them think enough to think about themselves, their life, and whether they want to come and do a practice, join me in any of these practices, whether they can actually come and see me, because I do offer a free consultation, and they can come and see me and actually take that up. And from there, they can come and we can discuss whatever it is that their needs are, and how we could work together, and how the therapies that I do could actually help them. Um, and of course, I also have some sound meditations on there as well that people can do, because another aspect of my um, of another tool that I use, apart from breath work and energy work, is also, of course, I've come up with my own style of sound healing, which I also offer as well. And that was something as well that came to me through I would say it came to me in an sort of ancestral way, because I wasn't really, I was in meditation, and these sounds just kept coming to me, and I kept wondering what it was all about. And then sounds and images that kept coming to me. And each time I finished my meditation, I would have to jump up. Normally I would jump up and write something, but with a sound, obviously there's nothing to write. So I would jump up and get my recording out and start recording the sounds that I was getting. And it was amazing. So I've kind of just put these right really into my toolbox, and really working on them and using them more prominently as I go along, and developing them more, so I can use them as well as part of the therapy that I can offer to women. Because, as we were saying, William, for some of us, or for most of us, I would say, particularly people of color, we do come from a background where sound, music, movement are all part of what it is that we are about. That's just how we've grown up, and that's just how our culture is just that way. It's just musical, and it's very much a lot of movement. So, and sound. So, you know, I just know that when that came to me in meditation, I just felt, oh, this is something I have to really connect with and use, and start sharing that with people as well. So yeah, so if you do come to work with me, that's something I would share with you as well. But I'll probably also be putting some of those samples of those on my channel as well. So you'll probably get samples. You'll see them there
Well,
as well.
we'll
So
definitely have you back soon. I mean, I can speak to you for a few hours. There's so much to discuss, and the future with MNPC, and a lot of the I'm gonna say that the small number of people on our directory, which you're one of them, are people that we're gonna hopefully be working with long term. So the plan here is to work and develop and support our small community. So thank you
mm,
so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. So grateful. Thank you.
okay, thank you.